I prefer to stand
That's fine.
while I'm speaking, I guess. Good evening. My name is Dan Cribben. I live in District 11, and to give you some perspective, District 11 is a rural area stretching from the south end of the county. I'll give you Somonauk as probably its southeast corner over to Leland, and then north to Maple Park and Cortland, part of Cortland. So as I'm describing that, you can maybe envision that it is a large rural area primarily made up of our very productive farmland. And I have lived in this part of the county for 32 years. I do farm myself on a much smaller level than probably the average farmer in DeKalb County. I also have an appraisal business where I appraise farmland, is primarily my second job there, if you will. Anyhow, I am the incumbent on the county board from District 11. I've been there for 5 to 6 years on the county board. I was appointed and then went through a general election. And anyhow, I've served on many of the committees, highway, planning and zoning, finance. I'm currently on finance. Been on our forest preserve committees. And anyhow, I guess I would open it to questions at this point. I could give you a little bit more, but I'll take some questions.
We're going to go ahead and let him speak, and then we're going to have questions for the both of you.
My name is Court. I live in Waterman. I've lived in Waterman for the last 12, 13 years. And again, live in District 11. And it is a rural district, but there are, cities like Waterman, and there's parts of Cortland and Maple Park and Hinckley. And I wanted to give the people of District 11 an opportunity to have somebody else on the ballot, so it is not just an unopposed election. And also, think about those towns that exist between the farmland, right? There's quite a few of us in Waterman and Hinckley and all those other ones. One of the biggest things that I see in District 11 are the roads being dangerous, right? We have Chicago Road is a dangerous road for people to drive on. I bike a lot, so if you'll see me riding around on the roads, please don't hit me, because it's a little dangerous out there, and Chicago Road is kind of notorious for that. Perry and 23 is another intersection that has a lot of danger to it. I'd like to get on the board and see what we can do to make some of those intersections a little safer.
Court, well, as long as the microphone in your hand, with the size of your territory, of your district, how do you want to outreach? How do you outreach to the people? How are you going to be the representative of all the people? Because you talked about farmland in a lot of area to cover. How do you approach making sure you represent your constituents?
So that's good. I've been knocking on doors for the last 3 or 4 months, and I've hit pretty much every town within there, and then a lot of the rural spots in between. So it is, like Jim had mentioned, a lot of one-on-one, just going out there and talking to people, and I've been doing that.
Okay, and you let your opponent there share.
You're wanting my answer or response to your question about
Yes,
contacting?
Yes. I mean, you have a large territory, so how are you representing all your constituents?
And geographically, you're correct. That is a large area there. I think the easiest way for me to respond to that is by indicating my involvement in community activities, whether it's with the Farm Bureau, which would be representing a bulk of our constituency. I served for 10 years on our local school board, the Indian Creek School Board, and I've had contacts through Lions Club and the school board for a number of years in communities like Waterman. In Hinckley, the church that I attend is a Hinckley church, and I think it's that involvement in those community activities, whether it's a professional organization or a church group, community schools. I think that's pretty important to be out there seeing the public and finding out what their thoughts are and their issues.
You know, keeping the microphone there, you're in District 11, and what do you find, how do you challenge when you're talking about the other districts that have more population in a less condensed, more condensed area, and you're like downstate Illinois to Chicago? How do you respond to your people say, how are you going to get the money? How are you going to get products? How are you going to get the roads, as you talked about? How are you going to get that when you really don't have as the population? And is it based on population?
Yes, I think that was the objective of, we had a committee, I believe it was in the year 2010, after the census there, that did the apportioning, and the districts are as equal as possible on a population basis. And to answer your question relative to getting either services or dollars from the county, I don't know that I've found that is a problem, meaning that from a sheriff's department standpoint, I see that we have patrols in our communities. When it comes to highway issues, I know that we've had several bridges in our area that have been inspected on an annual basis. We've had a couple of them that underwent major reconstruction. And in fact, this past year, we had one at Hinckley there that was rebuilt, essentially. So I feel that that my position on the county board, I see it as kind of an oversight situation. And I have been on the highway department, and I have been on law and justice, which oversees the sheriff's department. And I certainly feel that that we are getting our fair share, if you will, based on my involvement on those committees.
You know, as someone who lives in the district as well, I think that feels about right. I don't feel that we are particularly neglected from a county board perspective. It's a little unique living out there, right? I mean, when I want to go exercise, I drive to the Y, and so I'm still interacting with the services that we get from the larger county level, and you just might have to drive a little bit further to get it. So the emphasis on highways, because we're traveling across those so often, is important. But I don't think that there's any particular neglect that's being done from the county board perspective for District 11. It's just a little unique being down there.
How many mileage in roads, county roads in your area as opposed to some of the others?
How many miles are?
Right.
I wouldn't know that offhand. I could look
Okay.
into that.
It would seem to be, it would be another challenge that you would have as opposed to some of your other people within the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Are there any questions from the audience? We want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak and concern themselves, and everybody will be available afterwards. Thank you, both of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.